Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to become a better designer relatively quickly, or at least the way I did it. So here's all the fucking shittest tips that I can give you because I'm absolutely fucking shit and there's no point in me fucking doing this. But anyway, let's get into this. Step 1 is to work daily. Increasing your skills is any form of an artist takes practice. Not talent, not raw skill, pure practice. And daily renders is an excellent perception of this type of practice. You know, when you get home from school, work, or your general day, whap open the software, pen and paper, whatever you use, and do a daily render or piece of work. You'll literally slowly indulge in each design you do, and you'll go back and you'll look at them and you'll get your own interpretation of your designing style, and things just kind of begin to flow naturally between each piece of work. Step 2 is online tutorials, or even classes for that matter. Most people in this community, when it comes to the designing side of it, are self-taught, and in my opinion it's the best method of learning. It's more unique to you as a designer, and you develop your own workflow and style much easier that way. You're not kind of leeching off of the way somebody else has learned, and you're learning much more angles, and you're learning not just the way you want to learn, but the way you learn as a person. And it works out better in the long run, in my opinion, and I think some of the best designers are self-taught to an extent. You develop your own style, and tutorials are such an underrated way to learn. People like the guys over at Grayscale Gorilla who release a bunch of tutorials each week guiding you through these types of software, and Andrew Kramer for Video Copilot, for example, or even Film Riot if you're into visual effects. Tutorial like what these designers and artists produce are to help you learn. Here's why I did it, right? I'd find a tutorial most likely something like a still image rather than an intro or animation walkthrough. I'd make it, then I'd make it again, and again, and again. But here's the catch to that, is this isn't basketball. You don't make the same shot again and again and again and get better. So you have to adapt to it. Each time I'd make the image, following the tutorial, I'd change bits and pieces that harnessed in my own skill with the software till I had something completely different to the tutorial in the end result. Fuck me. Right, step 3 is learning multiple softwares. Although knowing the ins and outs of one software is a great trait, being able to wiggle yourself through any piece of software you want at your leisure is more than beyond helpful and quite frankly necessary. It's like being able to play 8 instruments, and that's hard to do, right? So take the time and learn all the software you need to optimize your artwork and make it the best it can be. Each intro I do, I go 3 different pieces of software. Cinema 4D for the main sculpting of the intro and so forth, After Effects for the post-production, and Sony Vegas for the sound effects and final post-production stage. Quick side note, a lot of people use Premiere Pro as a substitute for Vegas, or vice versa, as they pretty much do the same thing. It's really a personal choice. This liquid's so harsh. That just made me cry. Step 4 is studying other designers and how they work. Now, I'm not saying stalk a designer's social media, analysing each piece of work they do to replicate their style and claim it as your own, but look at how people work and the way they do it. And what I mean by that is their workflow, useful plugins that they may use to speed up the process of their work, websites they use to gain models or fonts or materials. Being self-taught is difficult because you're still learning from other people, but you're committing to it yourself. And although at the beginning sharing your work is the hardest part because of how derogatory the community can be, but that's why you're watching this video, to become better and to showcase your work with minimal criticism towards it. Although that's not always a bad thing at all, thinking about that. It's just nice to jaw drop people with new work and get them like,
how the fuck does he do that?
I'm the fucking best at hoops. Step 5 is trying new things. One thing I see so much among designers is repetition, although it can be good for consistency. For every client that approaches you, offer them something new that nobody else has. That's something I abide to almost so badly it's similar to the extent of how Batman doesn't kill his enemies. When I see a designer filled with potential but they're doing the same thing for each piece of work, same font, similar song, same style, same color grading techniques, let's cut this short, fucking sync intros, I literally get in a field of guilt and I feel like I should be donating canned tuna to them. That's why I develop a set of styles, because because you will release work that's more appealing than some of your other work from time to time, and customers will like that and want similar work, sometimes too similar. Think of it like this. When Nike brings out a set of new shoes that everyone loves and wants to buy, do they sell one pair and then that's it, they're gone, they're discontinued? No. This is designing, and designing takes creativity before business. When a client asks for something that mirrors previous work, use that piece of work as a guideline and build on top of it. Do not repeat it, try new things and see what works. Otherwise you're not a designer, you're a fucking businessman. That's it, this period. I just hit that without coughing. I'm a fucking bored. Step 6 is having the right equipment. By no means am I saying here you need to have a $3,000 machine of a PC with 4 graphics cards to be a good digital artist. But there is limits. I started with a laptop. It was not built for what I do, but it got me started. If you're intrigued by digital art, do not spend all of your mother's holiday savings on a PC with 8 graphics cards and a 98 core CPU. Get something to start you off, research a good optimization level and move on from there. I'd suggest a budget PC with decent specs, not a laptop of any kind besides a Mac. They're brilliant for designing. But long term, I'd say a fairly decent PC. Step 7 is time management, and okay, I certainly should not be one to be telling people about time management. I fucking suck. But for the short bursts of time throughout the week where I am on point, you notice a huge difference. I know how difficult it can be, especially with very, very expensive render times. Quickly, for any artist out there, count yourselves lucky you don't have to render. It's the fucking epidemic of digital art and nobody likes it. Hence why the previous step is a useful one. Just make sure you dedicate a reasonable amount of time to your work and getting better also. I'm legit done with these vape hits, it's too fucking harsh. Step 8 is the business side of things. If you've been designing for a month, do not indulge yourself in the business side of things at all. It takes time. You need to know your worth and your quality. I'd say join a team and produce work where it's going to mean something rather than attempting to do this for money straight off the bat. Do not do this for money. That's a byproduct and it will come with time and practicing this. I didn't start charging till very recently. And any advice I can give you, you don't pick up something in a shop and pay once you're done with it, do you? So always take your payments first and don't let people tell you they'll send the payment after you've finished. If they're fishy about that, then let them be. It will be their loss at the end of the day, and your customers should trust your rep and go by the rules of business, not their own. Be professional. If somebody disrespects you or hassles you, say straight with them. A lot of people don't seem to understand designers try to run legitimate businesses, and they seem to think it's just pocket money for you to make them some fancy art for their Twitter or YouTube. You have to let people understand you and what you work for and the time you put into it. Step 9 is social media and your YouTube. This applies to graphic designers a little more. A lot of graphic designers seem to be awfully dull when it comes to getting their work out there and don't really seem to upload to YouTube at all. They just seem to prance about Twitter with nothing but a portfolio. Get yourself out there, upload weekly speed arts or tutorials. What is going to grant you a successful designing title is exposure. Don't sit under a rock selling your designs off of Twitter without a name for yourself. You really think somebody for the likes of Designs Academy would be as known as they were if they didn't have a channel and get themselves out there? And I get it's much easier for motion designers and editors and anything else really, but whatever you can do to grow, and YouTube is probably the best platform for that no matter what type of designing you're doing. Okay, so the final step, step number 10, kind of falls under daily work, but it's kind of a little more pinpointing, is consistency. You need to stay consistent. You can't just go on and make a banner and then come back 2.5 months later. If you are wanting to become a better designer and grow as a designer in the community, you need to be consistent with this and you need to do it day in, day out. Maybe not that much, and daily renders, like I said, are a good way of practicing that. If this video helped you, please share it and let other people looking to grow as a designer see this also so it can help them too. And give it a like if you want. I don't really give a fuck. Also, be sure to take a trip over to my Instagram, which I've recently started posting my daily renders and other art if you're interested in keeping up with my digital renders outside of the motion side of things. Anyway, thanks for watching and I really hope this helped.